This is the Trump Roundup for week 19. And if it weren't bad enough, the type of damage that this ignorant asshole keeps doing to America's image and to the rest of the world is approaching a breakneck speed that turns all light into plaid patterns. Yes, folks, 45 is making us go ludicrous speed into a brick wall that we will have the hardest time ever recovering from. To start out this week, Trump thought it would be a smart thing to defend his son-in-law, Jared, after the revelation that he attempted to set up a secret line of communication. And the worst part about this, just like every bad decision this administration has made, it has been normalized by Fox, Breitbart, and pretty much anything Sinclair Broadcasting. There were people that were actually defending that having the secret line of communication being open to Russia would be a good thing in the context of Syria, except the fact that this would be one representative from our government, Jared, going into an actual Russian facility and using the communications devices therein. That's like Austin Powers going into Dr. Evil's lair and asking if he can use his computer to check his email. And shortly after this snafu, and this is about the best example of a situation normal all fucked up, he congratulated Greg Gianforte for, who we talked about at length last week, calling his win a, quote, great win, which is hilarious because the guy barely won. But I don't know what else to expect from a president that cheers harm being inflicted upon the press and other humans. Just look at how he fawns over fucking Duterte and Erdogan. Speaking of the press, he's super fucking mad and attacked them again this week in their usage of the anonymous sources that they have, but felt it was just fine, that anonymous source thing, when he shared a Fox News article that did the exact same thing. Now, let's not even mention that he, at the Trump Department of Justice, has put out warrants on people in the press to try to find out their unnamed sources. You heard me right. The Department of Justice has put out wiretap warrants on our press. That whole First Amendment and Fourth Estate thing that, everybody in this fucking country should be chilled to the bone of this behavior, as this is something that is definitely not a normal presidential thing to be done. He brought up Germany again this week, in which he lambasted the U.S. trade deficit with that country and how it's very bad, which he didn't give any reasons why. And he said that's going to change. Again, not saying why or how. But this is just the first of the many things that Trump seems to think that he can negotiate for better terms, just like how he did with us pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord this week, even though that puts us in the same category as Syria. And no, I'm not counting Nicaragua because they don't count, because they wanted to have a more advanced agreement. You simply can't pull out of a plan that all of the world has entered into thinking you can get a, quote, better deal. That's not how any of this shit works, Trump. Let's see. How about the fact that he got Kathy Griffin fired? He got mad at Kathy Griffin, really, in which, in its own regard, should have me doing a whole fucking segment on it, but how he apparently had to explain to his son Barron, who said that he was scared. Don't get me wrong. Having a kid see a video or a picture of some crazy lady holding a bloody severed head of your dad would be kind of fucked up. So for most things, you kind of leave the kids out of these things. So I'm not saying that the kid didn't get scared, but think for a second of all the other shit that Trump has already had to explain to his son. Or at least I hope he has. The Access Hollywood tape, or how about your dad being over 70 and on his third wife, and why his nearest sibling is like very much an adult. I mean, there's a whole lot about the Trump mythos that deserves some splaining, like his dad apparently making a toilet tweet at midnight where the term covfefe is going to be forever etched into the memory of all the teens of the planet. A misspelling wouldn't be the worst part, but the fact that he had to have Sean Spicer come out and tell the press corps that what he said was not a gaffe, but an actual message that has meaning to him and to others on the staff. He also had the press secretary that he would no longer take questions about Russia. And then Trump went on to defend a guy involved in the Russiagate scandal, by the name of Carter Page, who, if you don't know yet, I'm going to explain this to you. The president has said multiple times that he doesn't even know who Carter Page is. even though he ran Trump's fucking campaign for at least half of it. You know, the important part of the campaign when the whole game is just getting off the ground to begin with. And speaking how I am talking about a shitty campaign, he's once again dropped another campaign promise to his voters. It's a pedantic one at best, yes, I know. And I don't really care too much about it, but I have to bring it up because apparently it was very important to his voters. But he's reneged on his whole U.S. embassy in Israel being moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. I know, big fucking deal. But I bring it up because he needs to be constantly pointed out as a liar. And somebody who ran on a populist message that he's not following through with. And that's just 1 week, people. And he's been at this for almost 6 months. I honestly shudder to think what's coming up in the next 3 years if he survives his entire first term. God damn.